14 minutes past 6 o'clock. About 40,000 people have formed a Facebook group opposed to new legislation regarding pirated music and movies. Yesterday, the industry minister, Jim Prentice, tabled a bill that will make it easier to prosecute those who download copyrighted material. Fair Copyright Canada has been closely monitoring these changes ever since the minister devised the first draft of the bill last December. Captain Lamb is the head of the Calgary chapter. He says, aside from penalizing people for downloading digitally locked CDs and DVDs, this legislation will also make it illegal to tape programs and save them on your shelf.
But the other example is time shifting. In the past, we have the rights to tape record TV shows, or like in my case, in the 1996 Olympics, the moment when Donovan Bailey broke the world record and became the world's fastest man, that was a moment that I want to treasure forever. So I still have a copy of that tape. But now, under the current legislation, the time-shifting provision actually has this, let's say, very interesting provision, whereas you are supposed to watch what you record in a more convenient time, but you are not actually supposed to keep a library of it. So in my case, that world record-breaking moment happened in 1996. I tape recorded then. 12 years later, I still have that copy. And under this legislation, if we actually have Olympics coming up, right? So if I have done the same thing, I would have been considered an infringer, because the time-shifting provision definitely does not let me keep that moment that we all Canadians should be all proud of.
And how does that make you feel?
That makes me feel sad and at the same time very angry that how come the government hasn't really considered all the different aspects that the legislation is going to impact on us. On the surface, the legislation seems to, at least the government, try to give us the impression that they're expanding on our rights. But if you dig deeper and read the details and what the limitations, this is the government own website's limitation, and if you understand what the limitations are saying, you will actually realize that in fact we don't have more expanded rights in the digital realm. In fact, our rights in the digital domain in the 21st century has been severely curtailed.
That's Captain Lamb. He is the head of the local chapter of Fair Copyright Canada.
Proposed changes to Canadian copyright legislation are striking a sour note with music lovers in Calgary. Industry Minister Jim Prentice tabled a bill in Parliament yesterday in a bid to crack down on piracy. But as the CBC's Colleen Underwood reports, critics warn that in targeting criminals, the bill would affect many consumers as well.
Nathan Novetto cracks open a box of CDs while stocking shelves at HMV. In his spare time, he plays drums in a local rock band. He says while he appreciates the federal government's attempt to protect his rights as a musician, he says it goes too far.
Like I said, it's sucking the fun out of music for sure. I know there's plenty of times where I listen to all my music directly from my computer.
The bill states it would be illegal to download digitally locked CDs and DVDs onto your computer or iPod.
You can be penalized up to $20,000.
Captain Lamb belongs to the group Fair Copyright for Canada. The organization formed in response to the federal government's first draft of Bill C-61 last December. Lamb says the average consumer is being targeted. For example, it would be illegal to tape programs and then store them indefinitely.
Tape recording the Olympic moment of our proud Canadian athletes, turning Canadians to be basically eventually 100% criminals.
Lamb is urging people to read the fine print on these changes and speak out before it becomes law. Colleen Underwood, CBC News, Calgary.
The organizers of an exhibit of photographs taken by former sex trade workers are having no trouble finding a new home for the show. The city of Calgary removed the photos from its public indoor garden after receiving complaints this week. City officials say some of the photos, including one of a dismantled doll, are not for children. But the organizers say that's actually helped bring attention